Hello, welcome to this video where I'm going to spotlight that particular Pokemon. Remember when I made an Araquanid video? And then I dropped that format basically because it took a lot of time and I got a little bit busy slash lazy. Well, this is one of those videos again. So the Pokemon I'm going to spotlight is Nihilego. I've been using it in a couple battles and I've been liking it a lot so far, so I felt like making a video out of it. What I'm going to tell you in this video is who or what is Nihilego, what does it do, what is its place in the meta. Then I'll show you some battles that I've done with it, and then I'll give a final rating to it. Let's head in. What it is? What is Nihilego? Who's Nihilego? Nihilego is an Ultra Beast, and those were introduced in Gen 7. I don't know too much about it since I only played until Gen 4, but what that means for Pokemon Go players, since it's quite similar to a legendary Pokemon, it is a special trait and it can only be obtained through raids. It has a unique defensive typing in Rock and Poison, but unfortunately that leaves it to some weaknesses that are pretty common in its best format. It also has some interesting resistances though. The fast attack it has is Acid, Pound, and Poison Jab. Poison Jab was added later on to its move pool, and that actually makes it a viable Poison type attacker. As for charge attacks, it has Rock Slide, Sludge Bomb, Power Gem, and Gunk Shot. Those are all rock or poison type charge attacks, which means that Nihilego doesn't have a lot of coverage or flexibility. Its recommended moveset is Rock Slide and Sludge Bomb. You can also opt for Gunk Shot to hit harder. Power Gem is not recommended, it's a pretty weak charge attack. So, what is its place in the meta? It's not viable for Great League, unfortunately, as its CP goes too high, but it is usable in Ultra League. Unfortunately, it's not very good there. If we take a look at the top 10 of Ultra League, we see a lot of Pokemon Nihilego's just straight up not good against. Registeel, Giratina, Poliwrath, Cresselia are very much top meta. Nihilego isn't even on this list, but also not a great matchup because Poison Jabs are resisted. Nihilego just does not have a great time against those. If you look at one of the better matchups from the top 10, Mandibuzz, you can actually lose the 2 shields there. And that's because Nihilego's bulk is just a little bit mediocre. It's very comparable to Talonflame, and if you compare it to like a Cresselia, it's just straight up low. So I would say Nihilego may be okay for restricted Ultra League formats, but not for open. How about Master League then? If we take a look at the top 10 Beefpoke ranking on Master League current league, we see a lot of tough matchups for Nihilego as well, just because that ground typing is so good, right? Ground and Steel are very dominant in this meta. Zygarde, Landorus, Groudon, Solgaleo, Giratina as a Ghost Dragon are straight up not good for Nihilego. But what does Nihilego really thrive on? Countering Flyers and Fairy typing. So Pokemon like Dragonite, Ho-Oh, Xerneas, it does extremely well against those. And if you take a look at the bulk of Nihilego, it actually comes to its full potential in Master League. It's almost as bulky, or the stats are as comparable to Groudon, and it's bulkier than like Dialga. It's not as bulky as Lugia, but man, it has some good, really good stats here. Very respectable. The format where its true potential is realized is in the Battle Frontier format in Master League. This is a point system, and that means that like very good Pokemon, you cannot combine them with other very good Pokemon because then you exceed the points limit. Now Nihilego is only 0 points here. It's a very risky Pokemon to use at times. If you are afraid of something like Blastoise, which is ranked 1 on PvPoke for Battle Frontier meta, or Dialga is also very good here. Metagross is pretty good as a 0-pointer. But if you're able to encounter a Fairy type with Nihilego, there's always a threat for the opponent. If there's a Gyarados, also a very popular 0-pointer, Nihilego has a target. If the opponent dares to bring anything like a Grass typing, or really any neutral matchups, Nihilego thrives on those. Really anything that's not a Water type, a Ground type, or Steel type, Nihilego just pretty good against it. And also Mewtwo. You really don't want to face Mewtwo as Nihilego. So it's a very respectable 0-point Pokemon here. If the opponent doesn't have an actual counter to this, Nihilego has a lot of play. I'm now going to show you some battles where you'll see that Nihilego is actually very, very good. Successfully. Those are not the Go Battle League battles simply because I tanked a lot because I'm just farming Stardust and Red Candy XL. So these are in the Battle Frontier format, which is more competitive anyway. This matchup is against Ice Chris, the 2023 Santiago Regional Championship winner. And we also played at Worlds. I won 2-0 there. However, I know he's really good. This is not a matchup or a player I should underestimate. I think I have a good matchup. I went with a Nihilego Salamence core, and I built some stuff around it for some versatile coverage, and Rhyperior for extra. They all got coverage. Now, Nihilego is good against Gyarados, Kyurem, Florges, and Ho-Oh. It's absolute dead weight against Metagross. Unfortunately, Metagross looks quite good for my opponent, and so do their Slowbro. Slowbro, Nihilego can hit back against. It's not a great matchup, though. They have Confusion and Surf, and yeah, you get to a Rock Slide, maybe 2 if you're a little bit ahead. And Rock Slides actually do chunk, so as long as my Nihilego is not on Metagross here, I'm quite fine. I have Electric Technoblast on my Genesect to core make Metagross and Slowbro a little bit better even, so I do think this is very fine. If they want to play RPS, they bring Ho-Oh, but like my matchup is so good, they might have to. One thing I should count on though here is that it's unlikely they bring Ho-Oh and Florges together, because my Nihilego just beats those two together so hard. The last thing I had in mind, or actually was suggested by one of my team members, Smeetix, is that Bite Salamence actually could be crazy here. Just to threaten that Metagross and Slowbro core a little bit harder, and threatening those would make my Nihilego even better. Right, it would give more room versus the other 4 Pokemon. However, that will make their Kyurem and Gyarados quite threatening, and even Ho-Oh isn't great for Bite Salamence. I decided to go with Dragon Tail anyway. Let's see how we can use Nihilego. Alright, game number 1. I'm going with a pretty safe lead here. Genesect wins basically every single lead except this one here. But good thing, he should not really be able to run his Florges with Ho-Oh lead, because it will be massively core broken by my Florges. So Gyarados is a very, very safe switch here. So I'm going to go for the Aqua Tail immediately. This will put it into Zap Cannon range later. I will have to shoot this because this does so much damage. And it does force him to swap out. He comes with the Mega Slowbro. Not exactly sure what is in the back, but then I realized, oh, it has to be Metagross. I would expect Psychic from his Metagross just because he doesn't really need Earthquake for anything. This is an okay matchup. I can flip this. I'm not going to though, because then I have to go 2 shoots down, which is, you know, not ideal, especially considering it's likely Metagross in the back. So, different plan. I'm going to go for a full farm down on my Genesect. X-Scissor is, Fury Cutter is super effective, so they deal a little bit more, but man, if he gets to another serve, I actually have to shoot one here. So now let's see, his Ho-Oh probably comes back in, which I think I can still live 1 Incinerate, but I don't want to. And in comes Metagross. This is looking so bad for me. I actually win the zeros and the 1-shoots here, despite like full resisted damage. But Mega Salamence just thrives so much on bulk. I actually like wildly surprised he didn't bring Florges or something that deals with the Salamence a little bit better. If I safe switch my Salamence, like there's not much he can do with that. Anyway, I have to get shields down. I don't think that after this Meteor Mash, he will shield another one, though. So that makes it very difficult. I do have a lot of energy on my Genesect, so if I can take this out, maybe there's a way. But yeah, I think Technoblast is like 50 energy or so. I'm trying to uncharge a little bit. Doesn't help. Gonna go for the Magna Bomb, which I have for that, for the Kyurem and the Florges. Does a little bit. It's a little bit more energy than X-Scissor. But look at that. It doesn't matter. I get to the Technoblast at the very end here. And it actually wins me game number 1 at like so little HP. 1 Incinerate, and I go down there, so... getting hard counted from basically start to end, still got it, so that gives a lot of confidence. Game number 2, I'm gonna rely a little bit more on core breaking him. If he leads Florges, he has no Ho-Oh in the back, so I feel like if I lose the lead with Gyarados, I can safely swap in a Genesect, which seems like a really good strategy, but he actually plays that incredibly risky line. If I let Nihilego against this team, he loses. He loses, like, it's not even, like, both matches aren't even close. Not even remotely close. Anyway, I guess this is what I have both Pokemon which are good here, but it's likely Metagross or Slowbro on the back, so this looks difficult. Hoping it's not Earthquake on this Ho-Oh, it is Sacred Fire, which means that Nihilego resists this entire moveset. Nihilego actually has a surprisingly decent attack, so I win Charge Attack priority against Ho-Oh, and this Rock Slide double super effective will knock it out, so that's fine. Then Slowbro comes in, then Florges comes in. I mean, I'm a shield up, which is nice, but see, my Dragon Breaths just don't add up, so... kind of rough. And Gyarados, even though like probably arguably the best coverage in Master League, the best typing, its damage output is just a little bit mediocre. It does get like impressive CP. Well, impressive CP for what the game was like 4 years ago or something, but by now it's just being outbulked or doesn't really outclass a lot anymore. Like even Ho-Oh is such an iffy matchup because Brave Bird does so much on Gyarados. Yeah, this matchup is just kind of impossible. I successfully shielded 2 Moonblasts here. The next Aqua Tail won't knock him out still. And I need this Gyarados to get to a crunch or Slowbro later. He does keep the shield though, so I might not even be able to. Gonna try for the Poison Jab Snipe, but unfortunately, the Florge was a little bit too healthy. It lived the Poison Jab and also has a charge attack, so not much I can do with that. Rock Slide does solid damage, but it's not enough. He will Confusion me down, and then he has an Ice Beam on his Slowbro, which will do a solid chunk on my Gyarados, so yeah, at this point, still has a shield. There's just no way. I got AB8 really, really hard. But, you know, looking at the team comp advantage that I have here, I guess he kind of has to make risk. And, like, he got the perfect alignment. I would have core broken him with a Nihilego lead, but also with the Genesect lead. That's actually what blows my mind. He went very weak to my best Pokemon as well. Game number 3. Let's see if I can win a lead for once. That'd be awesome. Mega Salamence into Metagross. And this time I'm playing a little bit of a different strategy. This is basically the win lead, win in the back. Hopefully there is no Slowbro in the back. And if so, then I'm kind of in trouble. If there's Ho in the back, I need my Nihilego on it. Nihilego is basically good against anything that's not the Slowbro or the Metagross. This is one of them, so if I can get rid of Metagross, that'd be great. I win the 1 shields here, I win the 0 shields if I go Fire Blast, not if I go for Outrage. I do want to go for Switch just in case it is the Ho-Oh in the back, so I'm going to shield that up. And yeah, Nihilego is very good, just a little bit high risk, high reward sometimes. It comes in here, it is his Florge. I'm going to build up to an attack, then go into the Nihilego. This is a very risky play, but honestly, also not as much. Because the thing is, the hardest counter is Metagross, and that's gone. So I can throw in my Nihilego, and because it's so bulky, it can still fight back pretty well against that Slowbro. I mean, look at this. This serve is super effective. We'll do a solid chunk. So do Confusions, but I'm still able to get to a Sludge Bomb period. Actually, pretty impressive how much work this Nihilego puts in here. If he doesn't shield this, this will actually put him... This might actually almost knock out from that range. I think barely not. Because Slowbro is also booked. I have an Outrage. Kind of is best to be used here, but I don't want to swap in my Salamence just because, like, it's just going to get farmed down, which is unfortunate. I'm going to shield the Surf because that does the most damage here. In comes Florges again. This is what I have Magna Bomb for. It's super effective. Moonblast will do a solid chunk, but 2 Moonblasts will not be enough. Genesect's not the most... it's pretty fragile Moss League. It's not the most bulky here, but it just does what it needs to do at time. I actually really like that Pokemon. No shields that, realizing I will get to anyway, and he will have to shield at some point. I did reveal Magnum Bomb early in the game, so he should know that I have it, and it doesn't really matter at this point. I'm going to go for the Techno Blast. His best place to no shield is hoping it's a Magnum Bomb, and if he does shield, then I have the Outrage. He does shield it, doesn't matter. I don't lag a turn there, so that's great. Getting to the Outrage here. Outrage does massive damage. It's definitely going to be enough for that Slowbro, and that wins me this matchup 2-1. Now, I think if I ran by Salamence here, I actually would have core broken that Metagross and the Slowbro, and that may have given my Nihilego so much more play. I was afraid that like Kyurem would be a little bit difficult to do it. So let's take a look at my next matchup where Nihilego was even better. So my second matchup, also in the Battle Frontier format, I also brought both Nihilego, Genesect, and also Gyarados. I went with a Blastoise Dialga core because I lacked inspiration. It's probably the most boring thing you can come with, honestly. And Brechle, honestly, I shoutcast his battles before. I probably should have seen this coming, but he is core breaking the hell out of me. Scizor, Landorus, Rhyperior, Destroy, Nihilego. So it's difficult to utilize. Nihilego is such a good 0-pointer, but it's difficult to use here simply because Scizor basically beats everything on my team. It beats Genesect, the fire one, even in the 2 shields. It beats Gyarados, beats Mamoswine. Blastoise win most, even shields, because you have Trailblaze now as Scizor. And Dialga, when shields are up, Scizor is pretty fine there. Now, one thing that's pretty cool about Nihilego, if the opponent doesn't have consistent fast attack pressure and doesn't have like super high stats product, it actually doesn't do that bad against it. So a Pokemon like Palkia that deals super effective Aqua Tail damage actually is not the worst for Nihilego. I believe if I like 2 Poison Jabs advantage, I could win the 1 shield, which is crazy. Obviously, Landorus, Rhyperior, terrible Landorus, I can still hit for like 40% with a Rock Slide. In this matchup, I think I am like so core broken that I will always be playing ABA, and Nihilego is actually going to be the key here for me. Because I think the Gyarados and Virizion are so safe for my opponent, and even Palkia. Those are 3 Pokemon I count on. Nihilego is not bad against those. Pretty good against 2 out of 3. The Scizor likely doesn't run Iron Head, which means that even the 0 shield is not the worst. I'm not sure if I can get to Rock Slide, but if I'm able to, get very low. I might need a slight energy advantage. So, in this battle, Nihilego is going to be key. So this time from the other side, me being core broken, I just don't really know what strategy I have to do here. I'm just hoping he won't see how good his Landorus or Rhyperior can be against the picks I will bring, as opposed to the picks that are very good for him, which are like Scizor, the Palkia, Verizon, and Gyarados. So I'm going to rely on Nihilego to hopefully core break, and I catch a lead. This is huge, but if he just swaps in Scizor now, Scizor basically wins everything. He's going to go into Gyarados, actually. And this is great for me. It's also, I wouldn't say it's a massive misplay, but it's also not great for him, because I can just stay and go for Rock Slide. I could even stay in still, because he did one double kick on his Verizon. That means I am so much ahead here. Well, not so much ahead, but just barely enough ahead that I will outpace to his next Aqua Tail, which means I win the 0 to 1 shield here. I can take an Aqua Tail quite comfortably on Nihilego. I'm still like 30% HP here. So, already pretty tough for him. He basically just gave away one of his best Genesect answers, so unless he also has the Landorus, but it's Scizor, which is kind of predictable because it's like by far his best Pokemon here. But Genesect, like Gyarados was his only Genesect answer. So at this point, I should be very fine here. I have him core broken entirely, like me core breaking him. The irony, right? But my Fire Genesect should do quite well here because it can take out both Pokemon in one charge stack. Unfortunately, he boosts, and this actually is going to make it challenging. At this point, I haven't revealed Crunch yet on my Gyarados, so there's actually no shooting here, because knowing I will get 2 charge stack. In fact, I think I may have gone to 2 Crunch here otherwise, which would have been great, but since I'm running Outrage now, and this might also reveal that I ran Outrage. If he didn't get the boost, I would get to another Aqua Tail there, so really, really unfortunate. I could have tanked the attack on Nihilego, perhaps. Maybe that would have been smarter, but I was also afraid he may just be able to farm me down because my poison jabs are double resistant on Scizor, and I might not be able to farm down at all. Neither can this Genesect, really, to be honest. Fury Cutter just doesn't add up either. Now, here's the nature of how fragile Genesect is. Verizon only gets to about 3,500 CP, but Sacred Swords actually do a chunk. I am a Bug type, but I'm also a Steel type, so these Sacred Swords will be neutral, and 2 may almost knock out from this range. I am super pissed at this point. If he didn't boost, this match would have been even remotely close. But yeah, luckily, I get to the Technoblast at 1 HP here. I'm not going to swap out against the Scizor because that means I might lose a turn on the switch. So now I get like 2 damage in on the Fury Cutters, and I am just barely able to farm down that Scizor before it gets to another nice. I believe it was like 2 off there, so I'm very happy at this point to have gotten 1 point. But I want more. Game number 2. This time I don't assume he runs ABA to Nihilego. Again, maybe he doesn't even see it as an ABA. Maybe not realizing how bad Gyarados is against Nihilego. I'm going to build up some energy here, and I didn't per se expect to catch here. I did try, but actually got it, and that energy will be so useful against the Scizor Lady. He brings the Verizon in here. This is so good for me. And the reason why is because they all get in the back with 2 shields up. Maybe if I can get a shield here, it would even be better. So maybe there's play now. This is definitely his best counter to my Dialga since it pace is so fast. So Sacred Sword. This is what I've outraged for. So the Verizon does wall my charge attacks. But like, this is what I mean with Gyarados damage output sometimes just mediocre. If I leave this Leaf Blade, this is wonderful. Switch advantage is huge. Shield advantage is huge. This is so good for me. I lift the Leaf Blade. Now go for the Aqua Tail. This will knock out the Verizon. And this is looking fantastic. I basically cannot lose. I even have energy on my Genesect, so I win the 2s against Scizor. I bring in my Dialga immediately into the Gyarados so I can start getting some energy. I will let the Charge Stack go at this point. I recognize Genesect is my win condition here, even though I do need some of Dialga to take out Gyarados later. I swap really quickly in, and now look at this energy I have. Like, I live 1 night, so this is wonderful. What can stop me here? That can stop me. So now his bullet punches will do even more damage. He obviously shields his, and I threw it so quickly that I didn't even consider baiting. But yeah, the next one I do bait. At this point, I just hope I can get to another one here. Another Technoblast. It will get very close. He goes for the Night Slash. I quickly shield, and then it will only hit me. Can I even get to this Technoblast? It is looking like I may, so maybe there's no problem. But I faint with it, which is super unfortunate. My other win condition may have been to get to Draco Meteor here, and then I would have been fine. No, it's not fine. So I'm down to shield. I stopped tapping because I'm so pissed. Like, this already is such a difficult matchup, and then RNG screws me over as well. So really, really unfortunate. Honestly, after he boosted, maybe I should not have shielded the Genesect when he was 2 shields down already, because my Dialga could have closed out as well. Game number 3. Again, is he going to run an ABA to Nihilego? I don't think so, right? But I'm going to try it anyway. Here we go. We got a good lead again. So this lead is great for Nihilego. I can take an Aqua Tail, Dragon Breaths. They actually do add up more than I thought they would, but doesn't really matter. My Poison Jabs do way more damage. This Aqua Tail will do about 30%, so take it comfortably. The Rock Slide will like about knock him out from this range. So this is looking very good for me. If I If I don't get a shield, actually worst case scenario, but he does use a shield. Because I need to get shields down for that scissor in the back. He brings in the Virizion. I know he probably wants to bait like my Genesect out, so I'm not going to fall for it. I'm going to go for the Sludge here. This is such a bad matchup for Virizion, to be honest. I know it's going to be, the scissor in the back. I don't want my Genesect on that Gyarados, so I'm just going to stay in. And because the timer is far from up frame at this point, I can actually lock in whatever comes in into whatever Pokemon I swap in now. So he comes in with the Scizor, he can't swap out for a while. I can take this Night Slash, that's just fine. For the love of God, please don't boost again. And he doesn't. Great. And I think at this point, his win condition might actually be no shooting this, but I also considered he probably thinks this is his win condition. No, it's probably Dialga on the back. So I do bait there, successfully get the bait. Now that he's not boosted, I can live this Night Slash comfortably. And he swaps in Gyarados. This means the game is over. Because at this point, my Tecton Blast will do so much. I have a Rock Slide stored on my Nihilego, and I get the final with the Dialga. It all doesn't matter. Goes for the Blind Aqua Tail. We would have lost Charge Attack Priority against Nihilego anyway. Doesn't matter. It's resistant, and at this point I can just get to that Draco Meteor on the Scissor, and that should be a very clean game. I actually win 2-1 here. I definitely did not expect, and I could have won 3-0 here. And I think the one thing that really won me this matchup is him giving me a lot of time on both Nihilego and Genesect. Because if he throws in Scissor just at any time, I have nothing to swap into it. I just lose switch advantage, and he has so much potential to boost with the Night Slash as well, which we saw in game 1 and 2, where he boosted both times. And that just made it way more comfortable for me. Obviously, I had 2 out of 3 leads on my side as well, and he misplayed in game 2 with that Charge Attack Priority on the Virizion. So yeah, sometimes you need some luck, right? But this just shows that Nihilego, core breaking that, it's wonderful. Like, I love this Pokemon. So finally, I will give Nihilego a rating, and from there, you can also draw your own conclusions. What you think of this Pokemon and how useful it is. So its offensive coverage is quite good depending on the format here. In Go Battle League, I think it's very risky simply because there's a lot of Dialga, a lot of Landorus, there's a lot of Kyogre, and those are just not great for Nihilego. Giratina's not great for it, Mewtwo's not great for it, but you can face like a Gyarados, a Lugia, and a Fairy Pokemon. Those are Pokemon that you see more often in the Battle Frontier or any Show 6 Master League format. So I think Nihilego, its rating kind of depends on the format you play, and I think it's very much worth it for Battle Frontier, not so much for Go Battle League. Its bulk is great, its stats are great, it has similar stats to a Pokemon like Groudon or Kyogre, and for that reason I do think that Nihilego is a Pokemon that deserves at least a B, simply because of its stats, and because its moveset is quite good. It's just high risk, high reward, and especially depending on the format that you play. So that's my video on the Nihilego. I hope you liked it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.